Hey, it's your girl Maya, and I will be talking about access and also the importance of representing the kingdom of God rightly. So in John 14, verse 17, it starts off saying, "Even the Spirit of truth, whom the world cannot receive, because it neither sees him nor knows him. You know him, for he dwells with you and will be in you. I will not leave you as orphans. I will come to you. Yet a little while, and the world will see me no more, but you will see me. Because I live, you also will live. In that day you will know that I am in my Father, and you in me, and I in you. Whoever has my commandments and keeps them, he it is who loves me. And he who loves me will be loved by my Father, and I will love him and manifest myself to him." So these few verses here from verses 17 to 21, it lets us know that we are within Jesus and Jesus is within us, and when we follow his commandments, the Father will love us and he will manifest his power through us. And so I was thinking about access and what does that look like in my day-to-day life. That means that I am an access point for somebody who doesn't know Jesus, or nobody or who hasn't seen Jesus, or don't know what it means to have the love of Jesus within them. I'm an access point where I can expose them to who Jesus is by the way that I am living my life, by following his commandments, by loving my brothers and sisters, my neighbors, according to how the Lord has called us to. And in chapter John 18, verse 15, it talks about how Peter denied Jesus. But the part that really stood out for me was the fact that there was a point of access that was not allotted to Simon Peter, but it was allotted to another disciple. We're assuming it's John. Simon, verse 15, Simon Peter followed Jesus, and so did another disciple. Since that disciple was known to the high priest, he entered with Jesus into the courtyard of the high priest. So John had access, first-hand access, direct access to getting into the high priest's courtyard because he knew the high priest. And then it says, "But Peter stood outside at the door, so the other disciple who was known to the high priest went out and spoke to the servant girl who kept watch at the door and brought Peter in. The servant girl at the door said to Peter, 'You also are not of this man's disciple, are you?' He said, 'I am not.'" So far, Peter was able to get into the high priest's courtyard, not by way of his own relationship status with the high priest, but because he had a relationship with John, and John knew the high priest. So now this is second-hand access. So Peter's able to get in because he knew a guy who knew a guy, essentially. And so this is important because this may also speak to some of our lives where God will allow us to get a job that we don't qualify. God will allow us to be in a space that we don't qualify. Maybe we're getting some of the blessings that our friend, they just got blessed with all these things, and they brought us into these exclusive parties. They brought us into these exclusive spaces and business meetings and trips and vacations, and that we didn't have the miles to for the first class ticket. We didn't have the points. We didn't have the cash. We didn't have the money. But somebody who knew us said, "Hey girl, you could come on. I got you." We get into this space, and when we get into this space, we have to realize that we're in this space for a reason, and there is an assignment at hand. But when we shy back and act like that, we don't fit the bill, we doubt who we are, we doubt why we're in this space, we feel inadequate, we don't show up according to the God that's within us. I believe that every time God gives us access to something that we knew that we couldn't do on our own, that there is a mighty assignment at hand. And even if that assignment just means that you're standing in place, that you're in position, that you're praying inwardly, that you are being used as the kingdom, as you're being your visual representation of what it means to be in the right place at the right time, serving the right God. We cannot allow our comfort to be we cannot be idolizers of our own comfort. We can't put our own comfort back before what God has called us to do in this space. And this even speaks to every day when we're on the workplace, when we're speaking to people. We don't know that the seeds that we're planting could be for good or they can be for evil. Are we representing the kingdom well, especially when we're entertaining conversations? Are we showing who we serve appropriately? And if not, this is the area where we can start to think about, okay, the places God has put me now. It might not come with a title. It might not come with the respect or the provisions that you think it do, but in this place you're still serving somebody. Somebody is still watching your life. Are you representing God well? And so in verse 18 it says, now the servants and officers had made a charcoal fire because it was cold, and they were standing warming themselves. Peter also was with them, standing and warming himself. So John allowed him access to the high priest's courtyard. Instead of him being over there where John was supporting Jesus and being in position, he was over there with the servant girl and the other officers, warming himself for comfort at the fire. We need to be careful that when we are in places that God has put us, whether we recognize the assignment or not, that we are in proper position, we are in proper placement, and that we are in the right place, that if God so chooses to use us for whatever reason, we are where we need to be. We are where we need to be. And so when we skipped over to verse 25, it says, now Simon Peter was standing and warming himself. So they said to him, you also are not one of his disciples, are you? He denied it and said, I am not. One of the servants of the high priest, a relative of the man whose ear Peter had cut off, asked, did I not see you in the garden with him? Peter again denied it at once. And at once a rooster crowed. And so I just want to highlight here, not only was he still in comfort warming himself, and much has happened within those couple of verses that I have not read, but he was still warming himself at the fire. He denied Jesus in the vicinity of Jesus 2 more times. And so we can not allow our comfort, we cannot allow our inadequacies, our doubts, our fear to allow us to push us out of the place that God allowed us to be for an assignment. We cannot allow what we think and how we feel to override while we are truly there. And not only that, as we have said that we are Christians and we're followers of Jesus, the moment it becomes not convenient to call on Jesus, those who've been watching you remember seeing you. Those who've been watching remember what you said. And so it does you no good in denying who you said you serve. But more importantly, outside of what you said, actions speak louder than words. And so we need to have the strength of God to show up how he expects us to show up. We need to have the courage to show up and speak the glory of God and not be fearful of man, fearful of situations, fearful of what others will think or what's going to happen to you. Because the fact of the matter is, even lying doesn't change the truth of those who don't even serve the Most High. They've been watching you. They've been knowing who the God it is that you serve. But because Jesus lives in us and we live in him and we abide in him, we have the opportunity to shift atmospheres. We have the opportunity to stand in the gap, to stand in place where God has put us. We have the opportunity to be representatives of the Most High kingdom of heaven and do what has been called of us. Let us not take our positions of access lightly. Let us not take the opportunities and pour into other people's life and showing up and giving and serving. Let's not take those moments lightly, because we don't know what these moments lead to. We don't know the relationships that we're building and the impact that they will have on our future or their future. We have no idea of the ways that organizations will be changed just by us speaking up and doing the right thing. Everywhere that we go, the kingdom of God is within us, and because of that, there's an opportunity and there's an access point for somebody who does not know Jesus to see the Jesus in us that we serve, for them to receive Jesus, and also to stand our ground, to not be more lukewarm about the things that does not serve our kingdom. So I hope that bless you. Be blessed.